Hello, hello, hello. Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Hills Pruden. Of course, I am the founder of the Sister Leaders community, and you have tuned in to Sister Leaders, the podcast. And look, I will not disappoint you. You know, I have another powerful sister leader on deck. And so I will not delay it any longer. Sharon Baker, tell the Sister Leader podcast community how wonderful you are.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Karen. First, I want to thank you just for allowing us, many sister leaders like myself, just a space to share and to connect with others. But I am many things, but my main goal, the thing that I love most is being a coach. I am the founder and CEO of Embracing Abundance Life Coaching, where we help people get clarity on their vision. We also impart in them what we call these abundant mindset concepts. And in addition to that, we give them some marketplace strategies so they can operate and create the business life and career that they love. So that's what I'm about. Really, I'm in the people business, Dr. Jen.
Love that. I love that. I love that. So can you kind of break down a demographic of your ideal client? Who is your ideal client? How old are they? Where do they work at? How much money do they make? What industry do they come from? Are they men and women or men or women? Or tell us a little bit about your ideal client.
Well, my ideal client is a variety of most of them have been in the corporate space. Like myself, I came from 25 years in the corporate world, and they're wanting to do something different. Some of them are still in their current roles, and others have already transitioned or are ready to transition to being business owners. Mostly women. I also help men as well. It's just that dynamic, and they are really wanting to a change in their lives. Normally, they've already had a career of some type, so they're near the end of that career cycle. Most of them, and they are thinking that listen. There's a time that this is the time in my life where I really want to make a change. So that's where most of my clients are in that area. Don't say that I don't work with the others, but most of them are at a mature level and have had some achievements and really just want to do something that they feel will give back to the world and give them the freedom that the corporate world does not give them.
Okay, I love that. So, kind of want to kind of do a deep dive into exactly what it is that you help them to focus on. And so, is there any one particular leadership competency? Of course, we know as leaders, and as professionals in general, that individuals have to know how to interact with people. So, you got the leading people component. You also, the workplace is ever changing, so you have that leading change component. And then of course my two that are just dear near and dear to my heart, which is technology and analytics. And so you have to know how to monitor and follow up and all that stuff for ongoing operations. And then you have to know how to use technologies, because systems allow our reach for our business, allow us to scale, allow us to meet people across the water, across the land. And so as you are working with these individuals for their business, what particular competencies are you working on right now? Is there something that is like prevalent right now, this day and this time, that you're working with them with?
The main leadership competency, and there's several that we work with them on, is vision. A leader has to have a vision of what their business is going to be like. And so what happens is when you're coming from a corporate environment where you are really executing your talents and gifts to push someone else's vision, when you go and come into your own business, you have to learn how to be visionary and how to kind of see beyond the current now, because you want your company to grow as a business owner. And so it's a little shifting of dynamics about how do you want to see your world as opposed to supporting someone else. And so that's one of the main things that we talk about. And I'm glad you mentioned think about technology and analytics. Those are very important, especially for those people who are really not as gifted in those areas, but you really need to be looking toward those things to help you to grow your business, because it will ensure that you're working smarter and not harder with those particular elements. So we try to incorporate a couple of those things. We are using and getting people to engage AI a whole lot more. And there's a lot of information out there about those today. And I think something that you said even, is not going anywhere. And so we need to learn how to embrace those opportunities and have people, as they're doing their business, look at those concepts to help catapult them into the area that they want to as far as their business.
I love that. And I'm glad you touched on AI because, of course, it is everywhere. And I am trying to fine tune my skills using AI as well and actually having fun doing it. So, can you give us an example or how you have used AI in your business or how you're thinking about using AI in your business?
Yes, it's been a couple different ways. It gives you a lot of different information, the use of AI, but also it kind of helps you. And with when I'm working with my clients, helping them with their communication with their customer, that aspect of AI is really helpful in them delivering that mechanism, but also using some of the other intricate parts of AI, like the reporting part, the information that gives them more information about their clients, their ideal clients. So once we identify who their avatar is, and that's another term that we use AI mechanisms to help us extract more data about them, and then we use AI to help us communicate better with them. So those are two aspects that we normally utilize in the program with my clients.
I love that. And so we know that there are different ways to communicate. So we communicate in writing, of course, we communicate verbally. And that communicating in writing is extremely powerful because we know nowadays what we put in an email can last forever. What we put on the internet can last forever. And so how are you assisting your clients and helping them fine tune their written communication skills, recognizing that a lot is being done and put on the internet with the use of the internet, and that stuff does not go away. And you cannot even delete it, because someone else can pull it up and find it. And so, how are you working with them on their written communication?
um, Pretty much we are making sure that we are very intentional about what we're doing. And just as you said, not, putting things out there that we may regret later. And so looking at, and it all really goes back to examining what your audience wants to see. And once you realize the way that you need to communicate, and what I mean by that is, and I'm not talking just about, whether it's grammatically correct, all that's important, but what types of things are you saying to appeal to them so they will understand that you understand their story. So that's the first part of it. And then you're looking at all the different ways and all the different mechanisms. I'm not saying you need to be out on every source of social media, but utilize the social media channel that you're most comfortable with. And when you do that, the chances are of you putting something out that you have to retract, or that may not be as sufficient as you want it to be, will diminish greatly. But having those two things, identifying what you want to say to your folks, and orchestrating it in a way that's going to be receptive, those are the best ways to ensure that whatever you have out there is going to be positive, and it's going to have the return that you're looking for. Because the main part of the communication is to make the connection with your audience. And you want to be able to do that in the best way, the simplest way, the most authentic way possible. And so all of those things are taken into consideration when we are communicating.
I love that. So I want to pivot a little bit and talk about all these generations that are in the workforce. We have it. It's I've read. I'm a readaholic, so I've read a number of articles. They say we may have as many as 4 or 5 generations at one time in the workplace, and of course, we know generations are different. You know, the generation
Yes.
prior to me was different, and my children are different, and our priorities are different, and how we view work is different. And it is causing employers and entrepreneurs to look at how work is getting done very differently. You know that we have the post pandemic, the look at how work is being done remotely, as well as hybrid work and all other different kind of ways work is getting done. But we also know that when we have those generations in the same environment, sometimes there is some conflict. And so I just want you to speak on, have your clients experienced that? And if so, what are you recommending for them? What are you helping them? How are you helping them navigate these multi-generational workforce that we have now?
Oh, yes, that is definitely a concern of my clients. So, in addition to me working with the entrepreneurs, I have some corporate clients where we go in and we do leadership training. It's mostly leadership training, but sometimes we go in and just do it for regular personnel. And so, one of the things that they are asking us to do, especially when we're training their leaders, is to give them some competencies to make them help them recognize and relate to different generational types. And right now, the largest market out there of workers are the millennials. And so, even though we have other aspects of some of the other generations there, so you have to be able to not only associate with them, but every generation has their own work ethic, their own direction, their own perception, and the awareness of that is the first thing. Knowing that you will have a different scope, you will have a different perspective. And once you identify that, learning what this particular generation wants and expects. And so we're getting a lot of those things from our clients. But once we introduce these skills to the leadership, it has become so much better for them to navigate just that simple concept of just identifying that. And we go a step further beyond generational. You're just talking about just the diversity we have in the workplace and being able to practice diversity and inclusion with other concepts, whether it be from a background or any other area. So understanding that the workforce is a combination of so many different talents, and being able to address each talent appropriately is very good for the corporations, and they realize, and that's why they ask us to come in and relay that to their trainers, because they realize it as well.
I love that. And I certainly recognize that things have changed, even if I look at post pandemic. And so I guess one question that I have is, if you look at the workforce before the pandemic, and now we are coming out of the pandemic. I'm not going to say post pandemic because it's still out there, but it's just not, that didn't shut us down, but it's still out there. How has the workplace changed? Like, what was the priority, or what was the maybe the focus pre-pandemic, and then what do you believe to be the focus now post-pandemic?
Well, because the pandemic opened up a lot more versatility as the way we do work. And so, what we saw at the beginning of the pandemic was a lot of remote work. And so, the remote work concept, which was already there, but just kind of exploded. You had companies that really had to shift their technology to accommodate that. So, that opened up a an expectation that I'm able to work at home right now. But what we've all also seen as that companies are trying to get people to come back because they've got these investments in these buildings and they're paying all this additional money. But what it did, it let us see that things can be done differently. And so, with that said, you have people with the expectations that there will be a lot of more versatility in their workplace. And so the employers that are offering the most of that are the employers that are getting the most benefit from being able to get a lot more, I guess, skilled workers. because people want that flexibility. There's some other companies that offered other flexibilities like flex scheduling and stuff like that, but now it's opened up just a different type of thing. And then with the emergence of AI, was only adding to that. So because once you incorporate the AI aspect to it, some of the things, the jobs themselves change. And so that also impacts the workplace. So all of those things I think are really good because I like to see progression. I like to see us doing things better, us working smarter and not harder. And I think with the shift has allowed us to look at the way people work a whole lot differently. And I think companies will still continue to benefit from that as well as employees.
Certainly love that. So one of my loves is data. So I'm gonna pivot and let's talk about data. So I just kind of want to dig and see how you feel about data, but I believe that what you do not value, if you don't value something, you don't invest in it. For employers, if you don't have a budget line for it, that means you don't value it. For the run of the business, that you must be able to forecast where you're going before you start moving towards in that direction. And so I believe that data is extremely important in how we operate business. And there are different ways to collect data from different sources depending on your business. And so I'd like to tap into your views on data and the use of data to run a business, the use of data to be competitive in business. And that's data and reporting, from reporting to collecting to reporting out the information that is collected.
Oh, yes, it is very important because data gives us a gauge of where we are. And if we don't have it, it is very difficult for us to make the decisions moving forward, whether we are a large corporation or a small business. And small business owners a lot of times say, I don't have the money or the funds to collect. Yes, you do. To collect just simple data will help you. And then it makes a great what I call history for anyone that's coming behind you. So when you're making these long-term goal decisions, the data will help you interpret that and go forward with making what many companies do, which they're planning their long-term plans. You've got most companies are looking, way into the future when they are doing their planning, and they're doing it based on effective generated data. And data sources can come from what you'd call your internal data, but also you're also looking at things of what other companies are doing, and you're also looking at the economy. All those things are part of your data, or they should be part of your data extraction, because they will determine what type of goals you set for your company and what type of condition your company is present in, because the data lets you know where you are right now. And the data can also tell you where you can go. So it's very important. So I encourage that aspect on the new business owners as well as the existing and even the big companies, to make sure they have a good process in place for extracting and collecting that.
Okay. All right. So I guess my final question is, you're previous corporate and now you're an entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so there are a lot of individuals out there who are entrepreneurs, meaning they work for someone else. And they with goals and aspirations of being an entrepreneur one day. I happen to have a mix of both because I am still in corporate and I have successful businesses outside of corporate. But what did you, Sharon, consider before starting her business? What things did you ensure were in place? And how did you just get started? This is the time, this is going to get my business license, going to get my LLC, getting ready to do it. But I'm sure you had a list of things that you considered in order to prepare for that move. And so for all the entrepreneurs today who have hopes of being an entrepreneur tomorrow, kind of walk them on how you prepared yourself and got your business ready in the very beginning times when you started, and what made you decide to become an entrepreneur. Let's start with that.
Okay, I'm going to tell you the entrepreneur was something I had thought about for years, and it's all about timing. And I wanted to always do an early retirement. And what I mean by that, retiring before the age of 70 or 65. And I wanted to do that before, but I really didn't see how it could be done. So I kind of had this conversation with God with 10 years before, had actually forgotten about it. And then we came up with this opportunity where I could do an early retirement. I was like, okay. And the interesting thing about it, I gave him a number. I said, I want to retire at this age. And the opportunity came up 2 weeks before that birthday. So I was like, God, you're talking to me. So it's time to go. So after I decided to do that, because at first it was a challenging for those, and that's why a lot of times people navigate both for a while of when is it time to make that decision to transition. And so I was like, I'm ready, but I'm still nervous. And so, but when I got that clarification based on what I had asked God for, I knew it was time. And so that was the first thing, but I didn't just go there. I still had a plan. And that's what I want entrepreneurs to understand. You know, you may be generated by the grace of God, but you also want to do some planning so that you're just not stuck there. So then I started thinking about what I wanted to do, what I really was passionate about. I was a leader for many years within the organization. So I know I love people development. That's something I always loved about my job. And I wanted to be able to incorporate it. So make sure that what you're doing and you're going to transition to is something that you love, something you would do even if you didn't get paid for it, because you're going to need that in the entrepreneurial space, because entrepreneurship is sometimes very difficult. And so you will learn that in the beginning, but very rewarding. So I came up with a plan about what I wanted to do, who I wanted to help. And then the other concept, that's something that had really navigated my time, was mindset. I had a shifting in mindset as I was going through my corporate career that really fueled me. And that is one thing I want to carry with me and share with my clients. So I determined that, and I gave myself deadlines about when I was going to start, who I was going to serve, all of that, everything from my logo to all of that. So my main thing in saying all of that is to make sure you do have some type of plan when you're out there. And then I said, worst case scenario, if I have to transition back to a different thing, I have enough knowledge and experience that I could do something else. So for me, it was a win-win situation. For me not to embark on it was not something that I thought was unbelievable or unpredictable or I couldn't do. And so those are the things that I would ask most entrepreneurs to look at when they're looking at, or aspiring entrepreneurs to look at, as they transition from that one role to another.
Awesome. So you pay attention. You got to have a plan. And she gave you
Yes.
some details. So it's more than just getting a website and a logo. I heard there's a
Yes.
lot in between that. So pay attention for those entrepreneurs who are aspiring entrepreneurs. And so let's pivot now to what you have on deck for your business. I want you to share how the Sister Leaders podcast community can stay in contact with you, if you got any books out there, webinars out there, anything coming up, anything you've done in the past that you want to highlight. What is it that they can do if they want to know more about you and your business and they want to stay connected with you?
Well, there are a number of ways. First, I'd like for you guys to visit me on my social media platforms, which are Facebook, where I am Sharon Smith Baker on Facebook. I am also on LinkedIn because I deal with professionals as well. And going to my website, which is embracingabundancelifecoaching.com, where you can register for a free gift. We kind of share some information that's out there for those people who want to start those businesses or become an emerging leader. And we also offer an opportunity to do what we call Success Now strategy session. One of the things I've been very proud about this last year, I've been able to become a two-time Amazon bestseller. And then that is going to continue into 2024. as well. I'm going to be extracting more books and more collaboration. I love collaborations because it gives you opportunity to learn from each other, but to support people. I really think that's very important for us to support each other in those efforts. But the other thing I'm offering for those of you that are ready to take the plunge, 2024 is going to be an amazing year. The last week in December, not December, I'm sorry, in January, I'm going to be offering my 90-day, what I call our Kickstart program. It's called Ignite, Innovate, and Inspire. It's a 90-day program that helps you get your business jump started. And we are there to walk you through the process by offering you, we help you with your business plan. We help you with business credit. We help you identify your ideal client. And there's just so much more. The other aspect of that is we help with mindset. And mindset is something that's very important for the people, whether you're in your own business or not. But there's a different mindset when you are an entrepreneur. It's a different thought process. And so we help you with that as well. So I'm excited about what 2024 holds. I want you to just reach out to me on any of those platforms, register for our training, our 90-day program that will be out there at the end of January. We want to jump start the year off with. So those of you that want entrepreneurs, you can do it. You can do it, and we will be there to guide you along the way.
All right. She told you you can stay connected, and she has something that's coming up just on next month. So make sure you tap into what all that Sharon and her business has to offer. And so I have a new thing, Sharon. So you're going to be the very first person I'm going to try this new thing with. And so I have decided at the end of every podcast, I would ask the guest leader, what is your definition of a sister leader? And so you're the
Wow.
very first one. So if you can define your definition of a sister leader for me.
This is what I think of when I think of a sister leader. I think of a leader that, first of all, thinks about community. Second of all, thinks about innovation and vision. And third of all, thinks about progression. And so a sister leader to me encompasses all of those. It's not just about staying in the present, but we're willing to lead beyond our present and now. And we're willing to take others with us along the way. That's what I like. That's what I think a real sister leader is, bringing others with you. I love that part.
I love that, because a leader who does not create leaders, people are they're frowned upon. So I certainly like that aspect of it. So wonderful. Thank you so much. This has been a powerful time, powerful chit chat among leaders. And of course, you know that we will debut another powerful sister leader on next Monday. And so thank you for chiming in. Thank you, Sharon. And make sure you all connect with Sharon. You know how we do, we support one another, and we are excited. So thank you so much.
Thank you.